The Seattle Seahawks are the team nobody can figure out, and that is exactly why they are dangerous. One week they grind on the ground, the next they hit you with a lightning bolt over the top. Fans see a throw that rips the air and wonder why it is not happening every snap. Defenders crowd the box to choke the run and then watch the ball fly past their ear. The mystery is not an accident. It is the plan. Old school looks on the surface, trapdoors underneath, and a clock that always seems to tick in Seattle's favor. Here is the twist. The offense dresses heavy, lines up under center, and sells the run hard. Then the field opens for shots that change a game in one play. On play action, they are living at real depth with 14 yards per attempt, and it shows when Jackson Smith-Njigba crosses the field with space, when Rashid Shaheed races the corner, when Torrey Horton pulls a safety out of position. Sam Darnold is the green light. He wants the deep ball, he trusts the window, and on third down, he keeps drives alive with timing that punishes any hesitation. That mix of look power and throw power is the spark behind Seattle's recent jump. What nobody is talking about is how the whole roster shift feeds the same idea. More tight ends mean more bodies to double at the line, which drags faster defenders off the field. The defense does not need tricks to hold up, and that keeps the script clean late. Devin Witherspoon's return raises the ceiling, and the safety room keeps the middle steady while Julian Love works back. The shocking part is this might only be the start. If you want to know why this offense confuses smart teams and still lands big punches, stay with me as we open up how the engine really works and why the heavy run look creates the most dangerous shots in football. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Seahawks and all the NFL content. Can we get 100 likes on this video? The Seattle Seahawks tilt the field before the snap, and that is where the trouble starts. They look big, they look heavy, and they dare a defense to load the box. The moment that happens, space appears behind the second level and the ball finds it fast. What looks like a grind turns into a strike, and the defense is left chasing a play that started with the right look but the wrong speed on the field. Here's how it works. Seattle is the only team using 4 different personnel groupings on more than 10% of snaps, often trading a third receiver for a second tight end or a fullback. With 2 receivers out wide, a defense answers with base, not nickel, which swaps a corner for a linebacker and slows the perimeter. That heavier answer invites one high safety at an 8th most rate, and that is when the crossers and posts open for Jackson Smith-Njigba, the go routes stress the corner with Rashid Shaheed, and Torrey Horton drags help out of the middle. The structure is legal and simple, but the geometry changes and speed wins. All of this sets the table for a quarterback who is willing to test those windows the second they appear. The alignments create clean landmarks, the motion pulls a run fit one step out of place, and the throw lands where a nickel corner is no longer standing. If you want to see how that mindset turns design into points, stay with me as we break down Sam Darnold's reads, his deep triggers, and the timing that turns this setup into real damage. The Seattle Seahawks put the ball in the hands of a quarterback who hunts big moments. Sam Darnold is not waiting for perfect. He reads leverage, trusts his arm, and fires before the window closes. The surprise is how often the deep throw shows up from a heavy look that screams run. That is where the shock lives. He turns a defense that just crowded the box into a defense that is late to the sky. Watch how he handles third down. Motion shifts a run fit by a step, the snap hits, and he snaps his eyes to the spot the defender just vacated. Corners sit for crossers, then the ball climbs over the top. Safeties shade to Jackson Smith-Njigba, then the throw bends away from the help. New speed with Rashid Shaheed forces depth on the boundary. Torrey Horton drags a lane across the face of the second level, and the ball arrives on time. That rhythm is why his deep target depth sits at the top of the league and why his yards per attempt lives in rare air. The part that keeps coaches up at night is that none of this works if the look does not sell the run first. Darnold is ready for the bomb, but the disguise is what buys him the window. If you want to see why Seattle leans on a ground picture even when the gains are not pretty, stay with me as we open the run-first illusion and show how a simple handoff story unlocks the most dangerous throws on the field. The Seattle Seahawks keep handing the ball off even when the gains look small, and that choice is not about yards on the ground, it is about power over the picture. The moment a defense leans forward, the field behind it stretches. That is the reveal. The run is not the destination, it is the key that opens doors down the field, and it turns patient drives into sudden swings that flip a game. Here is what that pressure does to rules. Linebackers step into gaps, safeties creep into the box, and corners hold their eyes inside for a beat. Motion adds a gap, tight ends slide to build a four-man surface, and a fit that looked safe a second ago is now late by one step. Seattle does not need a perfect crease to win the play. It needs the back end to blink, and once it blinks, the crossers and posts land in clean space. When a defense goes one high to handle the box, the throws arrive behind that choice, and the scoreboard feels it. This is why the picture matters more than the box score. The call invites help to the line, then the quarterback hunts the window that help leaves. To see how Seattle pulls speed off the field and replaces it with size they can target, stay with me as we break down the personnel chess that forces base, removes a corner, and turns the deep crosser into a high percentage strike. The Seattle Seahawks turn personnel into a trap that springs the moment a defense blinks. They resist the easy three-wide picture and invite a heavier answer with extra tight ends or a fullback. That swap pulls a quick cover man to the bench and puts a bigger body in space where a slot corner would live, which tilts every chase route and every tackle angle in Seattle's favor before the ball is even snapped. Now, the alignments go to work. Tight ends attach, then shift to wing, the back settles deep, and condensed splits pull defenders closer to the formation. Corners must respect crack threats, linebackers are forced to widen with motion, and a seam that once belonged to a nickel corner now belongs to a linebacker in a foot race. Six-man protection buys Sam Darnold the extra beat he needs, so a crosser from Jackson Smith-Njigba or a leak by a tight end can find daylight, while Rashid Shaheed or Torrey Horton holds the deep third honest. This is the quiet edge that changes matchups without a single flashy call. The defense answers size with size, Seattle turns that size into space, and the throw finds the spot a faster defender used to guard. The question is, what happens when a defense refuses to break its rules and changes the coverage shell instead? Stay with me as we step into the coverage games and the concepts that punish one high, two high, and man when Seattle shows the same look and lands a different strike. The Seattle Seahawks turn cover rules inside out. When a defense spins to one high, the boundary safety drops, and the seam behind his rotation opens like a trap door. When a defense stays in two high, the safeties split and the middle turns into a runway for layered posts and deep digs. If a coordinator calls man to clean the picture, Seattle stacks and motions until the release is free. The hook is simple. Every answer creates a new weakness, and Seattle already knows where the next throw will land. Here is how the stress spreads. The burner concept sends a speed threat through the corner to pull the top end, while Jackson Smith-Njigba crosses into the space that the rotating safety just left. Quarters looks try to pass routes off. So Sam Darnold pumps the crosser, holds the safety, then drops a shot where the help cannot arrive in time. Man rules invite the spear family, with motion and bunch forcing a defender to navigate traffic, while Rashid Shaheed runs through a clean lane and Torrey Horton bends across the grain. Pre-snap shifts move run fits by a full gap, so the ball goes to the window those fits abandoned. It does not look loud, but it feels impossible to keep up with once the picture starts moving. The part that ties it together is personnel. Tight ends sell the run and create hard edges, the back in the dot sells downhill action, and then the route breaks into the space a nickel corner would usually guard. To see who makes each lever work and how the current rotation changes the ceiling week by week, stay with me as we map the roster pulse and show why new speed, healthy corners, and dependable tight ends turn this playbook into a moving target. The Seattle Seahawks just added more juice without changing the core idea, and that is a scary mix. Rashid Shaheed brings instant speed outside and a live return threat on punts. Jackson Smith-Njigba owns the space inside with control, and Torrey Horton stretches landmarks with motion and pace. Tight ends tilt the picture. A.J. Barner, when available, gives clean edges and quick leaks. Elijah Arroyo steps in with steady hands. Jake Bobo is the quiet glue. He blocks with intent and turns red zone snaps into tough catches. The backfield keeps the engine steady. Kenneth Walker sets the explosive tone, Zach Charbonnet delivers contact yards and smart screens, and that rotation keeps both fresh late. Up front, Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas hold the edges. The interior keeps growing together, and that continuity matters when you live under center. Every series you can feel the plan, heavier looks draw bigger bodies, motion bumps a gap, and the next pass lands where a faster defender would usually live. On defense, the timing could not be better. Devin Witherspoon changes leverage the moment he steps on the field. Kobe Bryant is comfortable inside, and the safety room holds together as Julian Love works back the right way. That blend keeps the structure firm so the offense can take swings without fear of game flow turning wild. The real question is how this group turns a good base into wins that stack. Stay with me as we step into the defense and the run-in, the floor, the upside, and the blueprint that fits the next month. The Seattle Seahawks win control by squeezing games on defense. The front wins its one-on-ones, the edges set firm, and the tackling is clean so drives shrink before they start. Devin Witherspoon changes the math at the catch point, Kobe Bryant steadies the slot, and the safety room keeps shape while Julian Love works back the right way. That steadiness lets the offense take swings without losing the script, which is why tight games keep tilting late. Here is the blueprint for this stretch. Against the Cardinals with Jacoby Brissett, you guard the pocket, keep rush lanes honest, press the outside release, and bait throws to the teeth of the zone. Make 3rd and 6 feel like 3rd and long, then flip the field. On offense, you keep the body blows coming with Kenneth Walker, mix Zach Charbonnet on contact downs, and use motion to move a run fit before the snap. When a safety steps down for the extra hat, the shot goes to Jackson Smith and Jigba across the field, or to Rashid Shaheed when the corner turns his hips. Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas protect the edges so Sam Darnold can hunt that first window without fear. Now look at the run-in. Stack wins where the matchup leans your way, lighten the push for the Rams, Vikings, Colts, Panthers, and 49ers. And let takeaways grow from pressure and patience. If ball security stays sharp and 3rd down stops climb, the ceiling jumps fast. The twist is simple: the more teams sell out to stop the ground picture, the bigger the airspace becomes. And that is where this version of Seattle can turn a good season into something that lasts. If this breakdown hit the spot, tap subscribe and drop your take on the plan for Arizona and the weeks ahead. Your voice shapes what we dig into next, so tell me the one matchup you think flips the game.